The rain slammed against the glass walls of the corporate tower as employees rushed through the marble lobby with coffee cups and expensive suits. Near the entrance, a security guard stood quietly beside a little girl wearing a faded pink backpack. Her tiny shoes were wet from the storm. Her hair was slightly messy. But she smiled anyway. Her name was Lily. And the man holding her hand was her father, Marcus Reed, a night security guard who worked double shifts just to survive. "Dad, are you sure I'm allowed to stay here?" Lily whispered softly. Marcus forced a smile. "Only for a few hours, sweetheart." He hated lying to her. But he had no choice. The daycare had suddenly closed. The babysitter stopped answering calls. And Marcus couldn't afford to miss another day of work. Not after the hospital bills. Not after his wife passed away 8 months earlier. Not after everything fell apart. But what Marcus didn't know was that this ordinary morning was about to change his entire life. And expose a dangerous secret hidden inside the company. Inside the lobby, employees immediately noticed Lily. Whispers spread. Some smiled kindly. Others looked annoyed. Then came the sound of expensive heels clicking across the floor. Vanessa Cole, head of corporate operations. Powerful. Feared. Known for humiliating employees publicly. The moment she saw Marcus and Lily, her expression darkened. She stopped directly in front of them. "This is a workplace," she said sharply. The lobby became quiet. Marcus stood respectfully. "I'm sorry, ma'am. Her daycare cancelled last minute. She'll stay quiet." Vanessa crossed her arms. "This isn't a homeless shelter." The words hit hard. Several employees looked uncomfortable. Lily slowly lowered her head. Marcus swallowed his pride. "I just need today," he said quietly. Vanessa laughed coldly. "You people always have excuses." The humiliation spread through the lobby like poison. Phones slowly came out. Some employees pretended not to watch. But everyone listened. Lily tugged softly on her father's sleeve. "Dad, maybe I should wait outside." Marcus' heart shattered instantly. "No, baby." But Vanessa wasn't finished. "You're lucky this company is desperate for workers," she snapped. "Otherwise you'd both be gone already." Marcus stayed calm. Even now. Even while being humiliated in front of strangers. Because dignity was the only thing life hadn't taken from him. Then Vanessa pointed toward a corner near the security desk. "Keep her out of sight." Marcus nodded quietly. "Thank you." But as he walked away holding Lily's hand, nobody noticed the elderly janitor silently watching everything. His eyes lingered on Marcus thoughtfully. Because that old janitor wasn't really a janitor at all. And within hours, the entire building would discover the truth. Upstairs, executives prepared for one of the biggest meetings in company history. The CEO himself was arriving. Daniel Whitmore. A billionaire tech founder worth hundreds of millions. The building buzzed with pressure. Meanwhile, Marcus sat beside Lily during his break near the security office. He handed her half a sandwich, pretending he already ate earlier. But Lily noticed. "You're hungry too." Marcus smiled gently. "I had breakfast." Another lie. The truth? Marcus often skipped meals so Lily could eat enough. At night, after exhausting 12-hour shifts, he drove for delivery apps until midnight. Then came home to help Lily with homework before sleeping 3 hours and doing it all again. Some nights, he cried quietly after she fell asleep. Not because he hated life, but because he feared failing her. Still, every morning he got back up. Because fathers don't quit when children are depending on them. A few floors above, Vanessa laughed with executives about the security guard daycare situation. He actually brought a child into the building, she mocked. Several people laughed nervously. But one man remained silent. The elderly janitor from downstairs. His name tag read Walter. Nobody paid attention to him. Which was exactly how he preferred it. Because Walter had spent weeks quietly investigating corruption inside the company. And Vanessa's name kept appearing everywhere. Missing money. Fake contracts. Illegal transfers. Bribes hidden through shell companies. Walter knew something terrible was happening. But he still lacked proof. Then suddenly, the fire alarms exploded throughout the tower. Employees screamed. Lights flickered violently. Smoke poured from one of the executive floors. Panic instantly spread everywhere. People rushed toward the exits. Security radios screamed with confusion. Marcus jumped to his feet immediately. Lily, stay here and do not move. Fear filled her eyes. Dad. I'll come back for you. I promise. Then Marcus sprinted toward the elevators. But the elevators had already shut down. Smoke thickened rapidly. Some executives were trapped upstairs. Including the CEO. Inside the executive conference room. Chaos erupted. Daniel Whitmore struggled to breathe as smoke filled the hallway outside. Emergency systems failed. Doors jammed. People panicked. And then something horrifying became clear. The fire wasn't an accident. Someone had triggered it intentionally. Downstairs, Marcus grabbed emergency equipment without hesitation. Another guard shouted, "The upper floors are collapsing." Marcus didn't stop. Because he knew people were trapped. And despite being treated like he was invisible, he still ran toward danger while others ran away. Floor after floor. Smoke burned his lungs. Heat surrounded him. But Marcus kept moving. Finally he reached the executive level. Inside the conference room, terrified executives pounded against the jammed doors. Marcus forced the emergency release manually. The doors burst open. Fresh air rushed inside. Executives stumbled out coughing violently. And behind them, Marcus spotted Daniel Whitmore unconscious near the table. The CEO wasn't moving. Without hesitation, Marcus carried him across his shoulders and pushed through the smoke-filled hallway. The building alarms screamed around them. Parts of the ceiling collapsed. Employees below watched in shock as Marcus emerged from the stairwell carrying the billionaire CEO through smoke and chaos. Paramedics rushed forward instantly. The lobby froze. Vanessa stared in disbelief. The same security guard she mocked hours earlier had just saved the CEO's life. But the biggest shock came moments later. Because Walter stepped forward calmly. And security teams suddenly surrounded Vanessa. Her face lost color instantly. What is this? Walter removed his janitor gloves slowly. Then one executive whispered in shock. Oh my God. Walter wasn't a janitor. He was Richard Hale. Founder of the company. A billionaire investor who secretly returned undercover after suspecting corruption inside his own corporation. And he had seen everything. The humiliation. The cruelty. Marcus' kindness. His sacrifice. And now. His courage. Richard looked directly at Vanessa. The fire system was sabotaged to destroy financial evidence tied to your fraud operation. The lobby exploded with whispers. Vanessa stepped backward. You can't prove that. Richard nodded calmly. We already did. Federal agents entered the building moments later. Several executives turned pale. The corruption network had finally collapsed. And Marcus? He stood there covered in smoke beside his frightened daughter. Still humble. Still quiet. still trying to comfort Lily instead of seeking attention. Then something emotional happened. CEO Daniel Whitmore slowly approached Marcus after receiving oxygen treatment. The billionaire's eyes filled with emotion. "You saved my life." Marcus lowered his head respectfully. "I was just doing my job." But Daniel shook his head. "No. You risked your life for people who barely respected you." The entire lobby became silent. Daniel looked toward Lily. Then back at Marcus. "How long have you worked here?" 6 years. "And nobody ever noticed you?" Marcus smiled sadly. "That's okay." But Daniel disagreed. Very strongly. 1 week later. The company held a massive public meeting. Employees packed the auditorium nervously. Rumors spread everywhere. Then Daniel Whitmore walked onto the stage. Beside him stood Marcus and Lily. The room immediately erupted into whispers. Daniel spoke firmly. "Some people wear expensive suits and destroy lives." The auditorium became silent. "Others wear security uniforms, and save them." Several employees lowered their heads in shame. Then Daniel announced something nobody expected. Marcus Reed would become the company's new director of employee safety and community operations. The room exploded with applause. Marcus looked stunned. But Daniel wasn't finished. The company would also fully pay for Lily's education. And create emergency childcare services for struggling employees. Tears filled the eyes of several workers instantly. Because for the first time, someone powerful finally understood ordinary people. Marcus stepped toward the microphone nervously. He looked at the crowd quietly. "I know what it feels like to struggle," he said softly. The room listened carefully. "And I know humiliation can make people bitter." He glanced briefly toward the empty seats where corrupt executives once sat. "But kindness matters most when life becomes hard." Silence filled the auditorium. Then thunderous applause erupted. Not because Marcus became powerful, but because he stayed humble after everything. Months later, life looked completely different. Lily now attended a beautiful private school. Marcus finally slept more than 3 hours a night. And every Friday, he personally helped organize free meals for struggling families through the company charity program. But the most emotional moment came one rainy evening. Marcus picked Lily up from school early. "Where are we going?" she asked excitedly. He smiled. "You'll see." An hour later, they stood outside a small lakeside house. Simple. Warm. Peaceful. Their new home. Lily stared in shock. "Dad, is this ours?" Marcus nodded slowly, tears forming in his eyes. For years, he promised her things would get better. Now finally, that promise was real. Lily threw her arms around him tightly. "You kept your promise." Marcus closed his eyes emotionally as rain softly fell around them. "Yes, baby." And for the first time in a very long time, neither of them was afraid of tomorrow anymore. Because kindness may struggle. Good people may suffer quietly. But eventually, the world notices the hearts that never stop fighting.